And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this live stream on the 12th day of April 2021. And hey, it's wonderful to see you. Are we all recharged and restored after the weekend? Well, I hope you all had a very good weekend. As we know, there have been some functions that did take place. We will probably talk about them a little bit later on. But now today, it's looking like a very, very good day out there. But we will look at the weather first, and let's take a look at what the weather has in store for us for the rest of today. With that, let's welcome Dilraj.
Good morning, everyone. Weather forecast for the rest of today is maximum 24 degree. Brisbane area is mostly sunny with light winds and no chances of any showers. Fire danger is low to moderate. Sun protection is recommended till 2:40 and UV index is predicted to reach 7, that is high. Till tomorrow, stay safe and enjoy the rest of your day.
And thank you very much for that update, Dilraj. And as we know that even though the weather's changing a little bit on the cooler side after that hot spell which we had, but even then, if you're going out in the sun, make sure that you do have sun protection. This is Queensland, in the end of the day. So always please take caution. Well, right now we will quickly look at some of the news and events that's been happening. But first of all, thanks to everyone and congratulations to the team. Our post last week reached 434.4K people and had 6.9K engagements in the week. So that's very, very good news. And that's thanks to everyone. Thanks for your support. It is wonderful to see that kind of support that's coming in. Well, of course, over the weekend, everyone's been reeling in on the news of passing away of Prince Phillip, the Duke of Edinburgh. And of course, we did have a very special weekend program on Saturday dedicated to him. Today, we will look at that in greater detail as well. But first of all, we will go and take a very quick look at the update with our Premier to see what this week's going to be shaping up like.
One historical
And the stream would be starting very, very soon as things are being put in place. Of course, we know that sometimes the technicalities do come in the way. But today we will also be looking at the 21 gun salute, and we'll also look at Queen's family and all the princes coming in to look at what's happening and how everything's progressing at Windsor Castle.
to our total, and I'll get the Chief Health Officer to speak to that one shortly. That was under investigation yesterday, but it will be added to our total now. We've had 3,778 tests in the last 24 hours. So again, I keep reminding people in Queensland, if you have any symptoms whatsoever, please make sure you are getting tested and staying at home until you have your results. We have 55 active cases currently in Queensland being looked after in our hospitals across the state. And we're over 109,000 vaccinations now. So I thank all of the staff in our vaccination centres for the great work that they're doing. And I remind Queenslanders that the restrictions are still in place around mask wearing. And we do ask, and limitations in your homes, so we do ask people to keep complying with those directions. We're very pleased that we've had really good compliance across the state as we work through the current circumstances. I'll hand over to Dr. Young.
Thank you, Minister.
Right, so one new case overnight. A person in hotel quarantine recently returned from Papua New Guinea. Then yesterday we did announce that we're investigating a case. This is one of the close contacts involved in that party who went to Byron Bay, and they've now seroconverted. So their serology shows that they are a recovered case, and it is most likely therefore that because they went to that party at Byron Bay that that's where they acquired the infection. They were in quarantine at home for the entire period that they might have been infectious, so there is no risk to anyone in the community at all, and they've been very, very helpful with that. There's been no issues raised. So there's no need to change any of our policy positions. It just shows that there was a significant super spreader event at that party, which we suspected all along. Now, they did have 4 PCR tests done from when they went into quarantine on the 31st of March and subsequent to that, and they had one done yesterday, and all of those PCR tests have been negative. Now, we do know that can happen. It's very, very rare, but we've had other examples, particularly interstate, where people have persistently tested negative, and then on serology they're positive, which is why we've been doing serology on this individual, because we suspected there was every chance they would become infected, and indeed they have. So there's no issue here. It's all worked as we would hope. So,
to take questions. As Minister, when do you think, I guess, all Queenslanders will now be vaccinated?
Well, we'll continue to roll out the areas that we are responsible for. So that is the 1B group. So we will continue vaccinating all of our health workers and our frontline emergency services, our police, our correctional services, the meat processing plants, and we will continue to roll out as planned with that. Of course, we're doing some work around just changing over to the Pfizer for those under 50 and of course the AstraZeneca for 50 and older. But we are on track to continue to deliver our vaccines subject to supply. So as long as the supply is here, we'll keep going, and we'll keep going at the pace we've been going.
How many days supply do we have of each vaccine?
Look, I haven't got today's update. As I say, we've factored in, our strategy has always been on average 1 to 2 weeks in supply, just to make sure we've got enough, and that hasn't deviated. So we roughly always have 1 to 2 weeks on supply.
What do you make of the Prime Minister's comment on Facebook overnight that there'd be no targets essentially?
Look, that's a question for the Commonwealth. We've said all along that our rollout is contingent on supply. So as long as that supply keeps coming, we will keep vaccinating Queenslanders.
Are you working to any targets at the moment, or?
Well, we've already done our 1A group. We're in the stage of doing 1B. We will keep doing 1B as quickly as we possibly can, subject to supply.
Do you expect to lift those remaining restrictions on Friday?
So we're working through that at the moment. The current restrictions are in place until Thursday. We are very confident the way things are going at the moment, but of course we'll see how the next couple of days goes before we make a final decision on those restrictions. But currently they're in place until midday Thursday.
Could it be lifted earlier?
No, we've always worked on the 14 days, and that's the advice from Dr Young, and we'll continue to do that.
Are people under the age of 50 receiving AstraZeneca in Torres Strait?
They have been, yes, but now that we have the recommendation from Otago, we'll need to work through that issue.
And when do you expect that Pfizer will begin to be administered up there?
Well, what we have to do is we have to now work out how we distribute Pfizer elsewhere across the state beyond the 6 hubs that we're operating the Pfizer out of, and we need to train up our staff to do that, so they have to learn how to handle the Pfizer vaccine as well as the AstraZeneca. That's all possible.
Both the vaccines will be there, and the staff are being given the necessary training to make sure that they know how to administer both of those vaccines. Well, interesting times, as we've mentioned before. But right now, we'll go into the feature for today, which is the tributes to Prince Phillip and Duke of Edinburgh. First of all, we'll hear from Prince Charles.
I particularly wanted to say that my father, I suppose the last 70 years, has given the most remarkable, devoted service to the Queen, to my family, and to the country, and also to the whole of the Commonwealth. And as you can imagine, my family and I missed my father enormously. He was a much loved and appreciated figure. And apart from anything else, I can imagine, and we're so deeply touched by the number of other people here and elsewhere around the world in the Commonwealth who also, I think, share our loss and our sorrow. And my dear Papa was a very special person who, I think above all else, would have been amazed by the reaction and the touching things that have been said about him. And from that point of view, we are, my family, deeply grateful for all that. It will sustain us in this particular loss and at this particularly sad time. Thank you.
And hard to deliver a message like that, and of course, he did well to contain and maintain himself delivering that message. Well, next up, we take a look at Prince Edward. Well, the good news is he is there and is arriving at the Windsor Castle.
The Auburn stop next.
No.
And next up, we look at Prince Andrew. And Prince Andrew describes his father as someone whom everyone could go to.
The Queen, as you would expect, is an incredibly stoic person. She described his passing as a miracle. And she's contemplating, I think is the way that I would put it. She described it as having left a huge void in her life. But we, the family, the ones that are closer, are rallying round to make sure that we're there to support her. And I know that there is a huge amount of support, not just for her, but for everybody, as we go through this enormous change.
And rightfully said that this is a change, and everyone's, all of a sudden, everyone on social media and Facebook and everywhere are placing what's going to happen. Everyone's coming up with their assumptions and their predictions. But anyway, time will tell, because there have been some plans. But of course, we know that in line with what's happening, the Australian government put on the 41 consulate, so he is the glimpses of that.
Australian Federation Guard will fire a 41-gun salute in honour of His Royal Highness Prince Phillip, Duke of Edinburgh.
So the 41-gun salute from the Parliament House there, of course, run by the military with the military precision. Right now, let's take a look at a church service that Prime Minister Scott Morrison attended in the weekend.
Today it's been our great honour and privilege to gather here in one of the great cities of the world as part of the far-flung Commonwealth to lead, I suppose, prayers for Her Majesty. An opportunity today, I think, for the world to pray for the Royal Family and Her Majesty in her profound sorrow. But also, I think, to reflect on that life of service that we heard about this morning. Sure and steadfast, these are qualities today that the world so sadly needs, but always has. And he demonstrated that throughout his entire life. And so we give thanks for that this morning, we give praise for that. But we also bow our heads in prayer and seek to provide comfort to the Queen as she goes through this terrible time of grief. A man of service, a man of loyalty, a man of devotion, not just to his homeland, but to all the Commonwealth. From his many visits here and from those of all the royal family. We may be a long way away from his homeland, but today we are very close.
And of course, being away, I think he visited Australia about 21 times, and that's a lot. And it's quite unfortunate that, one sort of the century, 99, but a life well lived. But right now, let's take a quick look at the message from our sponsors.
GlobeNet Realty. GlobeNet Realty has been the longest established, trusted and respected agency in its trade area. Washa Chandra, Director of GlobeNet Realty, provides honest and ethical service to her customers. If you are thinking of investing in Brisbane real estate market, or if you are seeking professional property management, then you should contact Usha Chandra today on landline 3865 4466 or mobile 0419 775 416. And for further updates, log on to our website www.globenetralty.com.au. GlobeNet Realty is your own local real estate agency. Situated at Shop 52281 Sandgate Road, Boondall. GlobeNet Realty. Real estate is our world.
And real estate is the world. And don't forget that on every Wednesday, we have the real estate update with Usha Chandra right here on this channel, bringing to you all the live updates of what's happening out there in the market, the rentals, the sales, and some suburbs to look out for, and what the property trends are. So don't forget that every Wednesday we have that coming on. Now, in the second portion of the news today, we go to Western Australia, where the hurricane is taking shape, and Geraldton residents brace for the tropical cyclone.
Everything's packed away, all the outdoor furnitures are in the shed and just wait.
I brought in all inside furniture, packed everything away, got rid of all debris, etc. I did go shopping on Friday just to make sure we got some supplies and things like that. So got some sandbags because our back garden does tend to flood a little bit. So really it's just battening down and closing curtains and hope for the best.
We got water, everything's tied down at home, and so I think we're as prepared as we can. Just go bunker down and see it out.
Yes, and they seem to be prepared. We'll have to have a look at what's happening because the area is under red alert.
At the moment, TC Saroja has overnight taken a southeasterly turn and started tracking towards the Western Australian coast, and it's tracking to cross between Kalbarri and Geraldton. We're expecting it to cross somewhere around the vicinity of 9 o'clock this evening, and that will be, as I say, there's an area of uncertainty, but it will be between Kalbarri and Geraldton. So we will transition this morning for the area around Shark Bay into a red alert at 0900 hours, and then later on this afternoon we will transition, and all the remaining areas south of Shark Bay will transition to a yellow alert. After that, at 1200 hours or 12 o'clock, the Kalbarri region will transition to a red alert, and the remaining areas south of that will transition to a red alert at 2 o'clock this afternoon. So what do we expect the community to do when we do transition to those stages? So when we go into a yellow alert, we're expecting the community to start identifying a safety zone within their house and take some action to prepare that and get ready to bunker down. To prepare their emergency kits, have a radio, some batteries, a first aid kit, a torch and some supplies, some water and some food with them to sit out the duration of the cyclone. When we transition to a red alert, we're expecting the community to bunker down, stay in their safe zone in their house and do not move until we issue the all clear to do so. If people believe that they are not, their property is not safe and they cannot stay there safely, then we are asking them to leave. We are providing buses that are leaving the Geraldton bus station on the hour up until 12 o'clock, and they will transport those people down to Dongra to our evacuation centre.
So that's the red alert there for Geraldton, and of course it's our waiting game till it strikes 9 p.m. their time. Well, right now take a looking at what's happening with the vaccine rollout. Have we done the best we could, or what has been the mismanagement? Let's hear from our Shadow Health Minister, Mark Butler.
A range of experts in Australia were saying that best practice was to have more than 4 deals, 5, 6 deals. The UK has 7 deals on the table to ensure redundancy in our system, to ensure that there was a backup when something like the AstraZeneca advice arose. So the UK, for example, is also dealing with the fact that they're not going to be giving AstraZeneca to young people, but they've been able to substitute the Moderna vaccine, a highly effective, state-of-the-art mRNA vaccine, and will soon be substituting the Johnson & Johnson vaccine as well. So what we were saying well back into last year was not based simply on our thoughts, it was based on very clear expert advice that best practice was to have 5 or 6 deals on the table to ensure there were backups in the system when something unforeseen like this arose.
So just to be clear on that though, you're saying there are other experts who you are listening to on this. You think those experts on the scientific and technical advisory group have not got it right?
Well, we think that the safest thing to do would be to have more deals on the table, not less. 5 or 6 was seen as best practice around the world. You just have to really reflect on the experience we've had over the last couple of days. We are now in a very difficult situation. Australia was already way behind schedule in our vaccine rollout, not in the top 100 nations in the world, and a bad situation has been made far, far worse by these unforeseen events around the AstraZeneca vaccine.
So he admits that there are by unforeseen circumstances, and I think where people just need to keep cool, keep calm, and work around that. Right now, let's take a look at what's happening, in India with regards to the vaccine and the vaccine rollout. According to a report, they say that they have enough in supply, but it's the states and how they're managing that is what is a bit of a problem.
Rollout is concerned, we are very much on target. We are currently focusing on people over the age of 45 to be vaccinated, and that is around 35 to 37 crore individuals, which is around 370 million people. So what we have a program where we have 2 vaccines, the AstraZeneca vaccine, which is made by Serum Institute of India, and our own indigenous vaccine known as Covaxin, which is made by Bharat Biotech. These vaccines are being manufactured and there is enough stock on a monthly basis. It's an issue that they have to be distributed regularly to all areas, and as states start distributing, they have to make sure that there is equitable distribution depending upon the demand. But in terms of actual numbers, if you do the maths, the shortage is not there. It's a distribution that has to be done in a proper manner.
Right. And so where is the problem? Why is Maharashtra claiming that they're having an issue with vaccine stocks, which is the hardest hit region in India?
So the issue with Maharashtra is, and that is some other states, they have to really see how they can equitably distribute it to certain areas. There seems to be an issue of certain areas where the vaccine uptake is very high and has gone up very well, whereas there are other areas where there is vaccine hesitancy and a lot of stock is lying there. So again, like I said, if we are able to have a good distribution and look at the need and the supply and be able to match that, I think in terms of what we have available in our country on a monthly basis for people over the age of 45, we should be able to manage that.
Right, you spoke about Serum Institute and being the world's biggest vaccine manufacturer and obviously stepping up in supplies for India also. The company has asked the government for a grant of about $400 million to increase its capacity to make AstraZeneca's COVID-19 vaccine, which you're saying is Covishield. They need help, sir, it seems, for expanding capacity, because why would they look at making this investment if things were fine?
So I think they need to really see how they can look at either a business model where some vaccines are sold, because currently the government is buying all the vaccines and they are supplying it free in government hospitals or government centers to all the citizens of the country. But one can look at a model where they can also charge for the vaccine to some extent. Other manufacturers who are not making the vaccine as far as COVID-19 is concerned have also offered to have an MOU with various manufacturers so that their plants can also be used for the vaccine manufacturers. We have a number of other manufacturers in the country, both in the private and public sector, which do make vaccines for children and for adults. So they already have a plant, and there is therefore a move to really rope them in also, so that the capacity can really be enhanced in the next few months.
So there we go, the news update all the way from India, and of course, as we have seen, the reports that have all come out about the breakouts, and so looking at that, there seems to be a problem with the states not being able to get that out, but the state government or the central government is doing all it can, and they have capacity to produce even more by partnering with some of the public and private manufacturers who have the plant in place to manufacture. Well, right now let's go to Sengate, where over the weekend was the Baisakhi Mela.
ਜਦੋਂ ਉਹ ਨੈਰੇਟਿਵ ਬੁਲੰਦ ਹੋ ਜਾਵੇ ਤਾਂ ਉਹਦੇ ਤੇ ਫਿਰ ਰਿਜ਼ਲਟਸ ਦਿਖਦੇ ਹਨ। ਸੋ ਪਲੀਜ਼ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਮੇਰੀ ਇਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਕਰੋ, ਮੈਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਸ਼ੁਕਰਗੁਜ਼ਾਰ ਹੋਵਾਂਗੀ। ਸੋ ਅੱਜ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਵਿਸਾਖੀ ਦਾ ਮੇਲਾ ਪੂਰੇ ਆਨੰਦ ਨਾਲ ਮਾਣੋ। ਮੇਰੀ ਰੱਬ ਅੱਗੇ ਇਹੀ ਅਰਦਾਸ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਆਪਾਂ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਕੁਝ ਵੀ ਜਿੰਨੇ ਵੀ ਇੱਥੇ ਲੋਕ ਸਾਰੇ ਹੀ
and he is welcoming everyone to the
ਭਾਈਚਾਰੇ ਵੱਲ, ਪੰਜਾਬੀ ਸੱਭਿਆਚਾਰ ਵੱਲ ਜਿਹਦੀ ਵੀ ਜਿੰਨੀ ਵੀ ਦੇਣ ਹੈ, ਆਪਾਂ ਉਸ ਹਰੇਕ ਦਾ ਸਹਿਯੋਗ ਕਰੀਏ। ਸਤਿ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਜੀ।
ਹੈਲੋ, ਸੋ ਇਹ ਸਨ ਸਾਡੇ ਸਤਿਕਾਰਯੋਗ ਭੈਣ ਜੀ ਹਰਵਿੰਦਰ ਸਿੱਧੂ ਜੀ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ
ਖੇਡਣ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੰਟਰਸਟਿਡ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਸਟੇਜ ਦੇ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਆ ਜਾਓ।
And this took place at Kerlu Park in Sengate. So as we know, under the COVID conditions, it was very hard to get everyone together. Normally there would be quite a large crowd there.
ਇੱਥੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਹਿਯੋਗ ਦਿੱਤਾ, and we are very thankful to Australian government, Queensland government, Brisbane City Council and Queensland Police Service from Punjabi Culture Association of Queensland। ਤੇ ਇਹ ਪ੍ਰੋਗਰਾਮ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਆ ਇਸੇ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਹੀ ਚੱਲਦਾ ਰਹੂਗਾ। ਹਾਂਜੀ ਭਾਜੀ।
And as we know that there are things that are sometimes beyond control, and people are doing their best to make sure that it happens. Now here's some delightful moments. And so it all went on to, throughout the day. There was a citizenship ceremony conducted later on as well. And of course, there was the Kabaddi Mela, the Kabaddi match afterwards there as well. Of course, after the end of the day, we need to leave the parks very, very neat and clean. And it was wonderful to see that the community did the right thing. And that the venue was left spotless clean, and it was a wonderful day out for everyone there. So ladies and gentlemen, that's the update for today. Well, right now let's take a very quick look at some of the functions and events taking place in and around Queensland. As we know, it has been very hard at this point in time because of the COVID-19 and of course the plans that you need to put in place for social distancing and everything like that. It makes it very hard for people to manage some of the events. And for a full list of all the upcoming functions and events, you can always visit our website and you'll find all the information there. And please do subscribe to our newsletter and you'll be updated on every function and event that's happening in the weekends as well. There's so much that's happening. So if you subscribe to what's on, and every Friday you will get the notification. And of course, just letting everyone know that our newspaper will be out in a few days' time, and its due publication date is for this weekend, being that adjustment time because of Easter. So rather than last weekend, it's coming out this weekend. So go out to all your favorite outlets to pick up the copies or just read them online. So it's a bumper issue once again. Lots happening in that. And before I finish up, I'd also like to wish all our Muslim brothers and sisters the best for Ramadan, and of course all our Hindu community all the best for upcoming Ram Navami, which begins from tomorrow. So there's so much that's happening out there in the community, as I said before, but it's always wonderful to see you all. So thank you so much for being with us. We'll see you tomorrow. Until tomorrow, it's goodbye from me. Please have a good time, but remain safe.